Come on in, Facebook. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in, my Facebook family. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. This is your host, Apostle Dr. Sylvester Paul Brinson III of the Brinson Connection, Dean of the Brinson Institute. We're glad another time to come in and share with you at this same hour every week on Wednesday at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, coming all the way from the metropolitan area of the city of Chicago, all the way from an international city of the world, Chicago, Illinois, and the state of Illinois, city of Chicago, from the United States of America, USA. All of you, my Facebook family and friends all over the world, I greet you in the name of him who said, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believe in me, though he be dead, yet shall he live, and whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. And so we are thankful today of those of you that are joining us on today as we continue to celebrate excerpts from our Sunday school lesson and teaching and sharing God's word and making contemporary application of the same. Thank you all that have been calling us, that have been joining us, those that have inboxed me, and those that come on a regular basis. We praise God and we thank you for this time that you sit and you share. Those of you that are watching us by live, just hit your share button. If you would, hit your share button and bring some more people on. Just hit your share button right there at the bottom. Just tap your share button. Those of you that are watching us live, those of you that are watching us on our timeline at another time during the day, afternoon, evening, or another day of the week, or whatever your time avails. Those of you that are picking us up through YouTube, you are watching us by YouTube along with another 145 of our teachings on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Just hit that subscribe button. Those of you that need to get any and all other teachings by me, you can go on YouTube and just find me, Dr. Sylvester Paul Brinson III. Put my name in the search bar and look me up. Find my channel. We have about 145 teachings on that channel from this year. Go into the channel, subscribe, and be blessed by the channel. Those of you that are watching us on Twitter, this is my tweet, thanking God that he is good and his mercy endure to all generations. We praise God for all of you, my brothers and my sisters, and those who watch us on a regular basis. All of our friends specifically in Africa and Ghana, Yolanda, and also those of you that are part of our new church name. I'm honored. One of our spiritual sons. God has blessed us with really quite a bit of spiritual sons and daughters, but one particular of what I want to talk about, just mentioned today, Reverend Lewis Williams. He's pastoring in the CME Church down in Texas, in Houston, Texas. God has blessed him down through these. I met this young man way back, pastoring at Rust Memorial United Methodist Church right out of seminary, 1979. Louis was like a sophomore at Dunbar High School. And we connected, and he's been in my life. I've been in his life ever since. God bless. When I left the United Methodist Church and pioneered our ministry, he was right there as one of our elders, and later on got married with one of our daughters there, and then God blessed him to relocate to Houston, Texas, and he's been down there some over 30 years now or more. God has blessed him to be active in the CME Church, the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, where I think his uncle is a bishop. And I was blessed also to receive an honorary doctorate, or a doctorate. They didn't want to give me an honorary doctorate of humanities from one of the seminaries in the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, and they have kind of followed me. And so I got a call from him that the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church was pioneering and establishing churches in Africa, Ghana, Uganda, and they called him and said, Dr. Lewis Williams, because some of the Christian Methodist Episcopal churches, they name their churches in memorial in honor of certain people in the leadership movement of the church and the community. And so they asked him if he could nominate one or two or three names for churches in Uganda, Ghana. And somehow he felt led of the Holy Spirit to nominate my name to put on one of the churches, Brinson Apostolic Tabernacle. Isn't that something? Brinson Apostolic Tabernacle in Ghana, one of their churches. And I was just honored. Dr. Brinson, we need you to send a picture and send some information so we can get that information to the church in Ghana to let them know to let them know that the church that they have been named after is alive. The person is still alive and well. I'm honored by that. One of our spiritual sons. Thank you, Pastor Lewis Williams in Houston, Texas, for you being a spiritual son, confidant, and friend, and continues and let God use you in that memorial of having a church named after me. Wow, 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 wow. Who would ever know? But thank God. Thanks be to God. I accept that honor. I'm humbled by that honor as we continue to pray and thank God for his goodness and his mercy and his strength. To those of you who participate, who serve, who share, those people that I have been humbled to be a part of your life in any kind of a way, I thank God for allowing that divine connection. We want to continue today. One of our challenges is to rework and talk about our Sunday school lesson. Those of us that don't go to Sunday school, you miss your church school, your teaching. Sometimes people ask me, well, we need to have Bible study. Well, you know, there are many themes to talk about in the Bible. There are many ways to approach the study of the Bible, the study of the Word. But I believe for those who want a consistent, systematic study of God's Word, that you might want to take a look at one of the Sunday school lessons or one of the Sunday school curriculums, because those curriculums are designed for you to have a church school or a teaching time for about an hour or so to talk about God's Word, and then it consistently follows a theme every Sunday, and then every quarter, and every quarter. So it's been said that if you follow the Sunday school lessons for 3 years, you would have covered the main themes of the biblical narrative, and that's something. So one of the things that I have done, but this is about our 3rd year now, is to take time out and just study the Sunday school lesson. That's enough information in each lesson to have a theme with goals and objectives, to take a look at goals and objectives, spiritual, theological principles, and then make some applications as you look at those principles and make some sense out of life every day, your contemporary lives, our contemporary lives. And so as we look at life now and watch the news and keep up with what's going on, as we read God's scriptures and look at the narratives and look at the types and shadows and the symbolism that is in each of the texts that we study, it will make you a stronger person. So line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. That's how I've learned, and continuously to learn God's word. And then to study with other people and other groups of people gives a deeper insight on scripture. It helps you to be honest and helps you to examine truth from different angles so you don't become myopic in your presentation of God's word. So this has been very helpful, and I can certify those persons that have studied with me and continue to study with me that when you do, you shall never be the same. Because I'm not the same, because our teaching modality includes you, who you are, what you know, and you participate and have a share in your discussion and the discussion with us. And so we do the Sunday school lesson every Wednesday morning, Central Standard Time, at from 10:30 in the morning till 12 o'clock from 10:30 in the morning to 12 o'clock. We have a conference call. People call in on the conference line and check in, and they have their books, and we study the lessons. And then I wait until 2 o'clock and come back on and teach and share from that lesson and some of the insights that we've gained. And so today, those of you that are following the International Sunday School lesson, I have the Townsend Press commentary. Brother Lorenzo, God bless you. Sister Apostle Anthony, God bless you. Patricia Maxwell, God bless you as well. My spiritual daughter, spiritual sons. Okay, so look at this. The Sunday School lesson for May the 2nd, 2021. When we come on Wednesdays, we're always teaching the lesson coming up that following Sunday. So if you're a Sunday school teacher, or if you're a student and in Sunday school or church school and they study the International Sunday School lesson, then you will always be on top by just watching our program. Sometimes we'll segue and talk about some other things, but mainly we try to stay within the confines of the lesson and then draw contemporary conclusions and principles and recommendations for your continuous study and well-being. And so that's kind of how we do it, Lorenzo. Okay, so for those of you all that don't have a Sunday school lesson, a book, the lesson is drawn from 1 Kings chapter 22. 1 Kings chapter 22, the whole chapter, the background scripture comes out of 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 1 through 40, with the Sunday school lesson being basically 1 Kings chapter 22, verses 15 to 23, and then jump to verses 26 to 28. And then the Sunday school theme, the key lesson for the theme of the lesson is found in verse 14. The theme of the lesson is found in verse 14. Let me read that theme. You know, we got three different commentaries, and they give you information. But the theme is, and Micaiah said, as the Lord liveth, what the Lord said unto me, that which I will speak. King James, the King James Version. And Micaiah, he was a prophet, said, as the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that I will speak. We got a lot of prophets out there that speak things different from what God say. They speak their own mind, they speak their own spirit, they speak their own heart. So our lesson today centers around Micaiah speaking truth to power. So the theme is speaking truth to power, understanding the nature of the prophet's role, to speaking truth to power, and all the different dynamics. And I want to take some time out and look at this lesson. I was making notes to myself and then looking at certain conclusions of what it means to speak truth to power. How do we speak truth to power? In a lot of situations of life, we are called to speak truth to power. And so I wanted to take some time out and look at how and what it means to also be able to look at certain leaders of our community and historical situations of people who took the time out to speak truth to power. Truth to power. Different prophets in the Old Testament and even contemporary-wise. We've had people like Dr. Martin Luther King and others, Reverend Jackson, Al Sharpton, a lot of our community leaders, a lot of our pastors from different ethnic groups. Some of you may know of those who stand in the community and speak to the political world, the economic world, the business world, entertainment arts, those people that are in power, those people who are presidents and CEOs and heads of states and community, your supervisor, your landlord, your bishop, your pastor. How do you speak truth to power? Elder Joseph Slade. How do you speak God's truth to those in authority? What does God say, and how do you speak when there seems to be you the only one in the room, and what you got and what God is saying to you is altogether different from what God gave, what other folk is saying God gave them? How do you champion the power of God and his presence in your life to tell it like it is. Or as Reverend Al Sharpton say on his program, keeping it real, keeping it real. So how do you keep it real? How you do that? So as we study this text from 2 Kings in our scripture lesson for the day, of 1 Kings chapter 22 on Micaiah. Micaiah was a prophet. Let me just go over right quickly the story of Micaiah. Well, just to go over, and then I want to pick out some of the character personalities and look at some of the principles in this Sunday school lesson, in this narrative, and then draw some contemporary conclusions for today. So in the story, if you read the story of Micaiah, M-I-C-A-I-A-H, Micaiah, prophet, had some connections with Ahab. And so in this story, the story goes that Ahab, he was the king of Israel, the northern kingdom, and the king of Judah was Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat did right in the sight of God. He did what was right while he was king, and he reigned, and he was one that understood what God was about, and he was committed to Yahweh, God, Jehovah, as the leader in his life as he sat on the throne as the king of Judah during that season. Well, guess what? At the same time, in the northern kingdom, Ahab was ruling with his wife, the queen Jezebel. So Ahab and Jezebel were ruling, and Jehoshaphat and his wife was ruling. Well, this is what happened, and this is why we're going to take a look at it. But let me give you the story first. And so what happens is, Jezebel and Ahab had done a whole lot of things. They had put the God's prophets to death, some of them. They had brought in the Baal cult, and they were worshiping the Baal cult of fertility, and all kinds of things was going on in Israel during the time of Ahab and Jezebel. So Ahab was one of the most wicked kings, along with his political wife, Jezebel, which was the daughter of the high priest of the Baal cult, Itbaal, from the Zidonians. Okay, so there was a political marriage, and Jezebel was able to introduce to Israel, which was already caught up in idolatry, her religion in a deeper way, and became the chief prophetess of that Baal cult under Ahab as queen. So here we find out, guess what? Jehoshaphat and his wife, they have a son. Now, the son is the prince in Judah. So the son is the prince in Judah. But guess what? Ahab and Jezebel, who were the king of Israel in the north, they had a daughter named Athaliah. So Jezebel, out of the marriage relationship of Jezebel and Ahab, they have a daughter. Her name is Athaliah. Out of Jehoshaphat, he and his wife, they have a son. And so I don't know how this happened, but Jehoshaphat's son, Prince Jehoshaphat, traveling in Judah, I don't know how it happened, but bumps into the princess Athaliah. So Princess Athaliah was the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. Okay, so you see that? And I was like, wow, 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 wow. And so what happened as we begin to look at this story, Jehoshaphat's son, he was a princess, and he fell in love. So the prince of the southern kingdom falls in love with the princess of the northern kingdom, and they get married. Now, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom have already been separated. Judah and Benjamin and Levi, they've all run together as Judah. So their king's son, the prince, falls in love with Ahab and Jezebel, who are the kings of the 10 tribes. And so there is a marriage. So because of the marriage, I guess Jehoshaphat and his wife and family, now their families with Ahab and Jezebel and her family. So he didn't cut a deal with Ahab, and they try to start doing some things together. They're going to get together and do some things. Let's get together since we're part of the family now and see if we can work things together since you're a king and I'm a king. Our children are married and that connects us. So maybe we can do some things together as kings. And so they had decided that they had a common problem with Amram. Ben-Hadad, they had a common problem with him because he, over the Syrian community, had taken over some of the land that belonged to the Israelites, and also one of the cities of refuge, Ramoth Gilead. And Ramoth Gilead was a city that sat right in the highway, the king's highway of the trade route. So now that means Syria and the King Amram is controlling the taxes and the tariffs coming through the trade route between north and south and between the northern and southern Israel. So they wanted to get together to take him out. So this is where we are. And so Jehoshaphat is sitting with Ahab on the throne. He's the guest politician that's sitting on the throne. And they have decided that they're going to bring their armies together to go fight King Aram, who is Ben-Hadad from Armenia. Okay, so when they decide to do that, Ahab being spiritual or religious, he brings his prophets in, 400 of them, to say, what do you see God saying? And so 400 of Abraham's prophets, not Abraham, Ahaz's prophets, 400 of Ahaz's prophets is prophesying, go up and take the city. God is giving you the city. God is giving you the people. He's giving you the land. Go take it and get a victory. And so they prophesying all of that. And so Jehoshaphat, being not a believing Baal, saw 400 prophets prophesying. So he leans over to Ahab and say, Ahab, I'm not trying to be funny, Doc, but do you have a man of God? I know these are prophets. They prophets of Jezebel. They part of your cult. I'm not coming against your cult. It is what it is. And your daughter's now married to my son. But knowing God as I do, is it any way that you might have a prophet that's in your reign, in your region, that's a man of God that can come and prophesy so that I might hear the word of God from him? And Ahab said, y'all, yeah, I got one. He don't never had nothing good to say. He's always at my door. He's always leading marches. He's always doing something. Okay, so Jehoshaphat convinces Ahab, go send for him. I want to hear what he has to say. So in the midst of that, the representatives go down there and find Micaiah, go to his house, say, the king want to see you. There's a hearing, and he has a guest king, Jehoshaphat, over the southern tribe of Judah that's sitting with him. They got married, so they gave him updates, said, now come on, Micaiah, 400 prophets that prophesied for him to go on up and God's going to deliver him and all of those kinds of things. So can you just say the same thing? Isn't it something that when you have influence in situations and you're dealing with people and power situations, and you can pick up the phone and make something happen, others try to compromise your influence by making you not address those issues that you need to address. And so therefore, he says to Ahab, Jehoshaphat says, I want to hear from a prophet who identifies them as a man of God. So, as we said, the person that went and picked him up, wired him up and say, now, so when he got there, and before the court of all the prophets and all the people standing waiting to hear from God, Ahab asked him the question, shall I go up? And he said, oh yeah, go on up, let the Lord use you, be blessed, go ahead. Ahab jumped him and said, no, I know that. No. See, that ain't what God said. That ain't what God is saying. I need you to tell me what God is saying. Now, isn't that something? If Ahab, but if he depended upon his 400 prophets and they were prophesying, and he determined out of all of them prophets that he needs to find another prophet to come in and prophesy, and and that prophet he don't like, but he sends for him, and everybody knows that. And so what happens? The people try to get him pep talk. So he says, "No, go on up, go on up, go on up." King Ahab said, "No, you playing with me. That ain't what God said. God ain't said that. God ain't said that." Lady Stinson, Dr. Stinson, God bless you. Long time no see. We need to hook up and do some things. Check in. You're doing a marvelous and wonderful work to the women of our community, those that are hurt and wounded, and those who've got something to say. And God is using them in a real way. And they're real prophets of God. And they're standing. I commend you, my sister, for standing there and being a leader to those women and men and speaking truth to power. I commend you, my sister. I just want to say that openly. Amen. For what she's doing. Sometimes people are doing a lot of things in our communities you know nothing about. And we need to celebrate, not hate, but start celebrating our brothers and sisters who's doing the good work, because the body of Christ is big now. It's not just your little group and your, see, now y'all done got me going off, but that's all right. I just have to take time and say what I need to say. So we need to support one another, bear each other's burdens, and let the world know that regardless what people say about us as ministers and leaders, we can come together and celebrate each other. And you're always going to find haters. You're going to always find people to talk about you, second guess you. But at the same time, I wanted to always be said that in the midst of all of that, there are some people that will celebrate you. And so I just want to be one of those, Dr. Stinson, to celebrate you and what you've been doing. So now let me say some things. And if this is the wrong Stinson, guess what? I must be prophesying that that's what you're supposed to be doing. Amen. All right. All right. So now let's see. Let's see. So Micaiah says, go on up. Ahab says, don't even try it. You just saying that because you're trying to keep me happy. He said, but I need you really just to tell me what the Lord said. He said, well, in summary, the Lord said that you can send the people home. Because if you go up, you're not gonna win. You're gonna die. You're gonna die, and you ain't gonna. And they'll be like lost sheep, and I see them as a sheep scattered without a shepherd. And all before Ahab said to Jehoshaphat, see, I told you. He said, well, let me tell you. Also, I had a vision. I saw God sitting on his throne with the hosts of heaven sitting around him, and he asked the hosts of heaven, saying, who will go down and persuade Ahab to go to battle so he can die? I need a messenger. Who it's time for him to die. It's time. He's going to die. He's going to die on this war. And I need someone that will go down to persuade him so that he will fall by the sword and die. Isn't that something? So they took counsel. That's what it said. Let me read it. Let me read it. And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall or get killed at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this matter, another one said on that matter. So he had people coming down. God had people coming down in his court saying, I could do it like this. I can do it like that. So there was a discussion on the floor. What's the best way to get Ahab to go on and fight this war so he can get so he can be killed? And there came forth a spirit. Watch this. And stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, with what? How? With what? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, and God said, thou shalt persuade him. That'll work. That'll work. Thou shalt persuade him and prevail. And it's going to convince him about to go forth. And he told him, go forth and do so. So God gave the authority, the empowerment, and the anointing of this spirit to go down and be a lying spirit in the mouth of his false prophets. Wow. He said, now therefore, behold, the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord has spoken evil concerning thee. That's what he told. The Lord has put a lying spirit. So now we had all kind of discussions on that, a lying spirit. Note that the spirit, a spirit. So God says, I hasten my word to perform it. That I sent my word, and my word shall not return unto me void. God takes counsel within his kairos timing of what needs to happen, what needs to break forth. And so it was time for the reign of King Ahab to be over. He had done enough evil in the land and the community. It was time for him. It was time for him to be gone, to be taken out, taken out. And so God is saying, there's a war. I'm setting up a situation. See, what we don't understand is that God is sovereign. We need to look at this in our communities as well as the biblical narrative. God allows certain things to happen around us. He allows certain things to happen in us, to us, or through us. Certain circumstances and projects and programs are called to be initiated because they play some kind of role in moving us from point A or point B, or fulfilling God's purpose that he has for us in our lives. So therefore, we have to understand that God is in control and God is sovereign, because everything that I do or find myself in, if I'm consistent to the process, I have to always remember that God is in control. As the songwriter said, order my steps in your word, dear Lord. Lead me, guide me every day. Send an anointing, Father, I pray. Order my steps in your word. When your steps are ordered by the Lord, the things that God has for you, it becomes manifested. And if your steps are not ordered, then God sets up situations and circumstances that will order your steps. So some of you all, as they say, you can run, but you can't hide, because you've been picked out. You've been picked out. You've been picked out. You've been picked out by God to be one of his servant ambassadors for the kingdom. So you can't run. So here is Micaiah, who speaks God's word, and there's been a spirit that comes up into the throne room because God calls a meeting. Micaiah see this in a vision. He said, let me show you what I'm seeing. This spirit, he said, God said, who can I get to go down and persuade Ahab to go to war, because I've already engineered the war that he gonna lose and he's gonna die. That's the way I'm gonna take him out. I'm gonna take him out through warfare. But I mean, he ain't even big enough to get into the right things that he needs to prepare. But I'm gonna get him prepared for the warfare, and I need somebody and some group to authenticate his move. See, sometimes we know God, or we're leaders, and we go about our way. But as soon as there's a major move in our life, a job change, a house change, a domestic relationship, significant other, something comes in that's going to move us up, and we start seeing the possibilities of things moving up, we cut it out. We erase it out. We stop it. Yes, we do. We don't want that. But God said, no. No matter what you try to cut out and stop, I've already authorized it, and I've given the persons, places, and things that are authorized the total freedom to do what needs to be done, so that my word will not return unto me void, but it shall, not maybe, accomplish. So now Micaiah is watching, and he said, now God has set up a meeting with all the hosts of heaven. And this spirit, that's prophecy. A spirit comes. One of the commentators that said that was the spirit of prophecy. Well, whatever. The spirit comes out of the group and said, hey God, I got a point. I'm going down. Let me go down. Send me down there. I will go down, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of his prophets. Well, the prophets had already been lying. Sometimes God takes the lie that people lie on you and he just go up on it and do a tag team on your lie. Because you don't want to hear nothing but that. So sometimes you don't even hear God. So God has to wake you up by you hearing him from an attachment program. Because you're so attached to so many things. You need to detach yourself from certain things. Okay, well, anyway, it said, the Spirit said, I will go down and be a lying spirit. And I will move him to go to Ramoth Gilead to die. Now, there's something strange about that because I read Old Testament, New Testament, and how God worked with his leaders and those in the text, that somehow God always sets up the project. He sets up the program. And everybody that he assigned to go do something, he didn't push them. He gave them the information, what he wanted, and then you read back in the narratives, they obeyed and they went. Or they held back for a month, but they still was in the process. They came on crushes because they committed. They was in one thing and then something else, but because of who you are and what God is doing, God has allowed all those dynamics to come into one and it's move you to a position where you in something and is moving forward, or he takes you out to slow it down so that everything can catch up and work together for his will for you. So God is saying, okay, Jonah, I told you to go to Nineveh. And I want you to preach. I told you where to go, what to do. Jonah said, no. See, I got a reputation, God. And I know my style of anointing that you gave me. If I go in there and preach, them folk gonna turn from their ways. They're gonna fall down and repent. And then that's gonna make me look bad because I'm doing this. And so now I don't want to look bad. God let them run. He let them do it. God didn't say, no, you going to do it. I don't care what you say. I'm going to make you do this. No, God. No, that did not happen. God did not make him run at all. He ran on his own. God just set up a situation. And when he got through with him in a situation, he was repenting. Saying, out of the belly of hell cried I, God, get me out of here. He was able to share the narrative of what God did and how God used him, because God set it up because he's sovereign. So here in this narrative, Ahab got to go now. He's got to go. There's a war that's been set up. And based upon that, he's going to be taken out because I'm going to give the persons that counsel him and it's in his ear to do and say certain things. And that's not going to change. Have you ever been in leadership, or you've been a part of something and God showed you something about the leader, or he showed you how if you work this program, you can get better mileage out of this particular car. If you work this particular program or project, you can get more for your money. Has he showed you how to do certain things? And then what he's done, he's fixed it where you have to make a decision, not him. Well, God, no. I don't want to make Ahab do anything, even though he is not serving me now. Form of godliness, but denying the power. But I'm not going to make him. But when I get through with him, he going to be begging me. Some of you all, God ain't made do anything. You either do it through obedience, or there's circumstances that come your way that you can say, I'm in. God, I'm going to do it because you created the circumstance. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly in your state, because Paul said, and we know that all things work together, Sister Brenda, to them that love the Lord, to them that are the called by his purpose. So when you call by the purpose, you can know that God will have his way in your life, either way it go. So here in this council meeting, God was saying, Ahab got to go. We're getting ready to start something new. You know, one of the things I'm learning is that when there is a something new that happens in the community or happens in society and everybody gravitate to it, they gravitate to it, or they gravitate to a individual. This individual is a charismatic leader, and they leave. And so one day this charismatic leader died. So after, a little while, some people forget all about the leader. They forget all about what happened. Those loyalists that's holding on to the power, they take the power from them. They move themselves into another dimension. And so that's what they have done. And so as we look at that, then we see and understand that God is saying, who will persuade Ahab? I need Ahab to make a decision to go fight this war because I already got it set up that it's going to take him out. Isn't that something, Apostle Patton? God sets the stage. Now, I want to segue in this story for those of you that came on late. We're looking at 1 Kings chapter 20 with Micaiah talking about the lying spirit to get Ahab to go to war with Jehoshaphat. Now, I want to segue out because there's some things that I want to discuss in this story. I want to talk about the Jehoshaphat-Ahab relationship. I need to talk about that. I need to talk about that, and also as it relates to generational issues. I want to talk about that for a minute because I see this in the story. In the narrative, I see Jehoshaphat, a servant of God, who's married, and he's the king of Judah in Jerusalem. He's the king, and he has a son who's a prince. Ahab, he's the king of Israel in the north, him and his wife Jezebel. And boy, they're a party. They're a duo together on some stuff that's evil and so foreign and out. And they have a daughter named Athaliah. Somehow, Princess Athaliah, the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel, bumps into Jehoshaphat's son, who is the prince of Judah. And somehow they end up getting married. The question is, how is it that a man of God, a righteous king, somehow the king over his whole nation and understanding his spiritual self, somehow his son is having relationships with the northern kingdom of a king who do evil in God's eyes? That ain't right, ain't living right, ain't about nothing. So your son or daughter that you taught and trained that's about something is got married and hooked up with somebody else's son or daughter that ain't about nothing. You said, Apostle Brinson, that's me. Nothing new under the sun. Now let's look at that. Because of that, that pulls Jehoshaphat, the daddy, and Ahab, the daddy, into some kind of alliance of expectation that from time to time they can go to war to support each other. And he could commit his men to war with Ahab's men. And so that's where we were. So now let's look at this. So now in the war, when they go and Micaiah ignores the man of God's prophetic voice and they go to war, Ahab is killed. He's wounded and he dies of his injuries. Jehoshaphat is wounded. Jehoshaphat is fatally wounded. I'm not fatally, he's wounded real bad. So Jehoshaphat, when he shouldn't have went, when God told him to that when he heard the voice of God through the prophet Micaiah saying, don't go, and truth to power was being spoken, he should have said, you know what, I'm going to pull out this alliance. But because of political reasons, and to be politically correct, he stayed in the alliance. How many of you right now that's under the sound of my voice is in a political arrangement? You are in a political, socio-economic, whatever, arrangement in an alliance because of some relationship that you're in. Somebody dropped your name or dropped you, or because of your investment, you needed to go in with an unrighteous person, and now you find yourself in alignment with that which is unrighteous, and you trying to live righteous. So what's going to happen? You end up playing it by ear because you don't want to mess up nobody. Okay, so here it is. Ahab gets killed. Jehoshaphat goes home wounded. Now let's look at it. When Jehoshaphat dies, his son becomes king, right? Okay, so now with Ahab and Jezebel, their daughter is over there being the queen to Jehoshaphat's son, who's the king. So something happened with Jehoshaphat's son, and who was the son of Athaliah. Some say he died, others say he was assassinated, or whatever happened. It happened. And so what happened was Athaliah, knowing that and finding out that her son no longer was alive, and she was the queen and he was the king, even though she was the mother, and her son was the king, she ordered all of the royal men, all of the royal family, all of the sons of the sons that would be next in line, she ordered them to be murdered. The spirit of Athaliah comes against the male seed. Just like the spirit of Jezebel manipulates and control, and always is about manipulating and controlling that which is in power. The daughter of Jezebel, which is Athaliah, comes to dismiss the male seed. Now let's look at that symbolism. Let's look at that symbolically. Athaliah is the daughter of Jezebel. So Athaliah, I'm sure at the house, she witnessed Jezebel controlling Ahab. She witnessed Ahab the punk, Ahab the king, but crying on his wife's shoulder to get him favors. She witnessed her daddy being the king, you know, and got the title, got the crown, but witnessed her mama running it under the table. Oh my God, what kind of relationship is that? Look around you in our communities. How many married couples have children in which somehow the female run it? The male don't do nothing. He, whatever your mama say. He has no leadership. He doesn't step up to be the leader. He doesn't step up and work in a co-leadership relationship. He becomes, as they say, the punk. He's been punked out. I know people now, their wife runs stuff. If they say this and say that, the wife turn around and say this and that, it's law. It ain't what he say, it's what she say. And so we got a lot of men that's been sterilized by their wife. A lot of men that's been sterilized by their significant other that is a female, because they have not learned how to stand up and be a man. And some of them haven't had no role models, but I don't want to buy that, because there are a lot of men that have been raised by women that are men. So we're not going to let you have that argument. I mean, what if it takes a man to raise a man? Well, you know, that may be true, but at the same time, our kudos go out to some of our strong women who have mentored and nurtured men that are men. But there are some women that will try the hand of men, and they will be in charge. So Athaliah grows up into that neighborhood where, you know, men was, you know, that didn't mean Black Lives Matter. No, men's lives mattered. Men's lives didn't matter, but it's all about her. Now she's married to Jehoshaphat's son, and Jehoshaphat, through a marriage, a political marriage, a righteous man marrying an unrighteous man's daughter, you know. So then that's what she does. She has all the male children murdered. Just so happened the word got out, and historically, you know where the certain sons come from. They got one of the babies that was of the royal seed that the soldiers was coming to kill, and they got up out of there, and they hid that baby for some years until it was old enough to be crowned king, and then end up getting her and killing her. But Athaliah. So the question that I saw in this is, you have to be careful on how you network your DNA with other people, because part of your generational history might be that you made a mistake by making a connection with the wrong people, because the generation of your children is jacked up. and may cause a lot of problems. So just take a look. Don't take it from me. Just take a look at the story. Athaliah, the daughter of Jezebel, the daughter Ahab, marries Jehoshaphat's son. Jehoshaphat dies. His son begins to be the king, which makes Athaliah the queen. He dies. Her son is king, and then someone kills him, or he's murdered, or whatever, and she kills all the royal seed so she can become Miss Poobah, and she's now the queen. Read the story. But I'm saying all that happened because of a decision that was made. So I saw that dynamic in the story. The other thing I saw in the story is that God will use certain institutions that have a history of lying. He will set up a lying institution with a spirit of lying if the person that needs to be taken down or moved out of the way believes liars. See, God knows how to work it. So if you know, you're not going to listen to the truth. So you're not going to listen no matter what is said and done. You're not going to listen to the truth. And God is trying to move you in the way or out the way. Overseer V. God wants to get his word will not return to him void. Therefore, he creates good and evil, and he uses instruments at what he will. So Ahab, he didn't want to hear nothing about God's prophets. He didn't want to hear nothing about truth. He had 400 prophets that prophesied and told him what he wanted to know. So because the stage was already set, and that he had his prophets prophesying what he wanted to know, but Jehoshaphat was the one that wanted to hear a word from the Lord. And so to validate the word of the Lord coming from Micaiah, who told him to go home and don't go to war, he had to let Ahab believe the negative word with the 400 prophets over what God's word would have been. So God says, you know what? I see we got a situation here. Because the position is that Ahab is a king. He has power. He's in the position of power, but he has also hired 400 prophets to prophesy, 400 counselors, 400 coaches. What do you do when things are stacked against you and everybody around the people of power is in that person's ear talking what he want to hear, and you got a word that is automatically different from what he want to hear? How do you see God using you to come with a word to get that person to do what God wants them to do in order to take them out or to move them on or to move them along the journey of his course? God has a way. He's sovereign. He's in control of the universe. And some of us don't understand that. That's why some people are hung up on the false prophets prophesied and Trump was going to be too. And then it's bigger than that. It's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than them lying prophets, because the lying prophets lied by the will of God, who sent a spirit of lie to them so that they could lie. So people can get off guard, but while they lied, people got on guard. So y'all missed that. Y'all let me fix that. The prophets in the Trump era prophesied that God said Trump was going to be a 2-term president. They prophesied that, right? Those of us who understood that God's word is true and effective, and whatever he say, some of y'all believe that. So because of that, you said, God, oh no, he cannot have another term. We got to repent. We got to turn from our wicked ways. We got to seek you. We got to pray. We got to we got to get people to vote. We got to go out there and register people, vote. We got to talk to people. We got to come together, because this man cannot have 2 terms. But the prophet said, God said he can have 2 terms. Now, did God allow the spirit to go down and be a lying spirit in the voice of the prophets to get you stirred up to do what you needed to do so that he could be out by you voting? See that? You got to understand. So some of us, the people lie. Yep. But the spirit God sits up there and said, what I'm gonna do? What I'm gonna do? I need Brinson to relocate. I need Brinson to move to I need Brinson to go to Afghanistan. Let's just pick out something. I need Brinson to go to Afghanistan. Now Brinson got around him all his pastors and all his prophets, and some of them are false prophets too. Because sometimes he ain't right. He got people around him that only talk about what he want to hear. You know, some of us as leaders, as pastors, as bishops, and you may be the president of this, you have a tendency to like people who speak and talk to you and put you up there, and you got this God ideation like you the big poobah. So when they talk and you get wisdom and counsel, they tell you what you want to hear. That's bad when you got people around you in your inner circle, block out everybody, and whatever you say, yes, some, they kiss and lick and bow and scrape, and they say whatever they feel they need to say to you to be on your team. Come on, Bishop H. Lee, son. Yeah, you got people. That's why it's not good to have people that's yes people all around you. So God will take the yes people all around you, and they'll be giving you something that will push you somewhere that you need to go anyway. And God will allow the spirit of a lying spirit, to get into your lying prophets. They're already lying prophets. They're already prophets that speak what you want to hear. So God will anoint them in their lie to be liars for good, and will persuade you. And you go away thinking that God has said, even though you have a sense that God didn't say. But you got enough people to outvote the man of God or the woman of God who's saying, because one person said you shouldn't go, and you know that God uses them. But there were 30 other preachers said, if I was you, dog, I'll go. So the lying spirit, the spirit that went in to become a lying spirit. Note, he said the spirit God gathered. So the spirit said to God, I got a plan. I will go down and be a lying spirit in the mouths. Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Satan got into the snake and began to talk like he knew what was going on. The devils believe and tremble. So you got to understand this whole lying spirit dynamic. And so sometimes the prophets did not make a mistake. The prophets prophesied by the anointing and will of a lying spirit to move God's agenda. I want to go with that. I like that. I like that. So call all the names, all these prophets that was prophesying 2 terms, chump. I believe they prophesied, but God allowed God allowed a spirit to go down to those prophets and be a lying spirit to tell the lie by his directive, so that the outside residue response would be others who heard that lie, that knew and believed it to be true, could go register to vote and get out there in the masses to overturn the process, so that God's will ultimately is done. So you never know. So we're going to take a look at that in the story. So how do we look at Jehoshaphat in league of Jehoshaphat, a righteous person, in league with an unrighteous person, trying to hear from God in an unrighteous situation? A righteous king sitting in an unrighteous court with 400 unrighteous prophets, with one man of God. God said, that's all right. Go, that'll work. God said, you can go down and that'll work. In fact, it will work. And I give you the authority and the anointing to move in it. Go do it and make it happen. That's what God said. Go do it and make it happen. When God said, go do it and make it happen, he puts his anointing on it. So an anointed, a false prophet, get this now, the false prophet automatically, all of a sudden, gets an anointing by God to be a lying prophet by the spirit of prophecy, in order to accomplish what God wants, a new season. The only thing God wanted was Ahab got to go. Ahab got to go. It's a time for a new season. Who and what does God do, and how is God doing to get you to a point that you will wake up, and certain people he gets out of your life through a prophetic move so that you could have a new season? Oh, y'all, it's time for me to go now. It's time for me to go now. I know I'm on something. God will orchestrate a negative, an anointing and the negative to take out the negativity in order to open up possibilities for you to live and walk in peace again. Micaiah said you need to send these people home. They're sheep without a shepherd. Because the shepherd they got ain't no shepherd. The leader they got ain't no leader. The person you sit up under that's your leader ain't no leader. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't about nothing. In fact, the longer you stay with that, you're going to die. You're going to die on the battlefield of life. Life is a battlefield. You're going to die. Your leader going to die and you going to die. Now you need to leave and go on back to your home in peace, or else get on the battlefield. And if you don't die and make it out wounded, when you get back, you will have peace, but you will have peace and earned it by a wound, but still you will have a new life. How many of you have a new life, but you had to be wounded and your leader had to be taken in order for you to have a life? See, so the Spirit had to accomplish God. God want to know, well, who gonna take him out? And I'm not going to make him. I'm not going to bend his will. Who will persuade him? I need some influence in the prophetic to persuade an act to happen, to take out a situation in order for something new to come. That's the story today. You got it. 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 Go back and read 1 Kings. Go back and read 1 Kings. That's the Sunday school lesson. 1 Kings chapter 22, 15. Micaiah speaking truth to power. I will go down and I saw God with the hosts of heaven in a council meeting. What? God took a council meeting to get Ahab out? It's time for Ahab to die. He didn't led Israel too long. He didn't messed up. He didn't messed up the economy. He didn't messed up that was a political move. And he was a king. So we had to deal with a spiritual side that the king had attached himself to 400 false prophets of Jezebel to run his stuff, to give him spiritual counseling. While yet at the same time, he sat on the political side and economic side of his people. And so God said, it's over, it's time. Your wife, Jezebel, and you, it's time to go, because there's some people that's crying and they want deliverance and healing. What do we do with the Ahabs and Jezebels of our life and our society? What do we do with the Ahabs in your community? What do we do with the Ahab? What is happening with Ahab and Jehoshaphat? Good and evil in together in a pack. Jehoshaphat representing good, Ahab representing evil, but yet they come together in a pack because their offspring got married. So what up under you got married to something you raised righteous, and what you raised outside of your spiritual sons and daughters, or people that have influence that you love, married into something unrighteous. So politically, to be politically correct, y'all got to kick it. And so what happens? You end up getting wounded. The other person end up getting taken out, but you got to get wounded in order for others to come to have life. Don't put yourself in that position. But if you find yourself in that position, you better listen to Micaiah. God said, go home, leave that alone. No, Jehoshaphat could have went, no, but he went on to battle. How do we speak truth to power? I got to close now. I'm 4 minutes over my time. Who am I talking to that's in a position to speak truth to power? Whether it's to your bishop, respect, your pastor, your supervisor, the president of a corporation, you sit on the board, huh? Yeah, at church, the body of Christ ain't just in church at an address on a Sunday and a Tuesday. The body of Christ is in the marketplace. All doing life in the marketplace. Yes, it is. The body of Christ is in the marketplace. So we are in the social, we in the society, we deal with economics, we deal with business. We deal with municipality. We deal with lawyers. We're judges. We're politicians. We're leaders in our community. We're heads of households. We are our own business entrepreneurs, or we work in key positions. So a lot of you all have positions of influence. What influence do you have? And when it gets time for you to speak up for that is right, how do you speak truth to power? How do you speak and use your energy and who you are to make a change in the community, because you say, whatever God say to me, I'm going to say. No more afraid. I know, but sometimes you just have to be quiet. My name is Wes. I ain't in the mess. Jose with nothing to say. Bennett, I ain't in it. Paul, that's y'all. I ain't in that. Huh? Come on, Dr. Yant. David, Cousin Rap. So what we gonna do? Hey, it's time. So our Sunday school lesson talks about Micaiah. Go read it. I've got to go now. But go get your Bibles and read 1 Kings chapter 22. Chapter 22 of Micaiah. How do we stand as voices of truth, like Jeremiah and Amos and Dr. Martin Luther King and Reverend Jackson and some of you all? I'm just calling some names. There are people in your space that you know. Put their name on the list. Who do you know? Pray for them. Those people, community leaders and other leaders in different areas, people even in the armed forces that are that in position that when they talk, people listen. What position are you? A kind of a person that when you talk, people listen? Well, if you are, you need to then be very careful that you hear from God in certain matters, that you only speak what God will have you to speak. Don't be trying to evaluate it all. That ain't your point. You be the instrument. And if God has called you to speak truth to who you perceive has power, influence, you better speak it, because God want to use you in times like these. Amen, amen, amen. All right. Some of you all could have hit the share button. Y'all could have hit the share button and brought some people in on this last end. But all of you all that have been watching me, that watch me every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. Hit follow. You want to follow me? Hit follow. Glenn, God bless you. You want to follow me every Wednesday, coming out of the metropolitan worldwide city called Chicago, international worldwide city, metropolitan area, every Wednesday from 2 to 3 Central Standard Time. The Brinson Connection, I am on. If you miss me, go to my page, Sylvester Brinson III, and pick me up. Better yet, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube and search me out, Dr. Sylvester Paul Brinson III, and there's over 150 teachings on that. You that are at Twitter, catch me on Twitter. We are thanking God. Those of you that want to know more about our ministry, go to our website. I'm going to give it to you. www.thebrinsoninstitute.com. Well, just remember, Apostle Brinson. The Brinson Institute. The Brinson Institute. One word, the Brinson Institute. Go to my website. In fact, I got to get on it and check. My webmaster, Bishop Massenberg, down there just texted me and said he redid it. So my institute has been redone. My website has been redone. Go to the website, look us up, look at our ministry, the www.thebrinsoninstitute.com. And they'll tell you about me, my background, my ministry. Some people's asking, get the book, especially Iniquities, the sins of the fathers, examining generational and curses and sins. Get the book, order it on Amazon. Get the book. Get my book, my second printed edition. It's a small little book, but it's got some information in it that God gave me by revelation. Iniquity, the sins of the fathers, examining generational curses and sins. Go to Amazon and type in Dr. Sylvester Paul Brinson. It should come up. If it don't come up under my name, then type in iniquity. The sins of the fathers. Order this book. Order it. And when you order it, Aretha, write something. If you order it, go back in there and write something about it. I want to get up on the chart. They say if you order the book from Amazon and write something about it, it puts me up on the chart. I want to get this book up on the chart. Now, those that have it, you know all the principles of this book on iniquity is also you can translate that and flip it over to blessings. Just like you have curses in your bloodline and things that you inherited in the negative, there's certain blessings. So you need to go back into your family line and find out all the good stuff. Who were businesses, who were teachers, who were doctors, who were engineers, all of that. Because if it was in your bloodline, you probably got some of it too. So, you know, when God blessed us, it ain't everything all evil. There's some blessings. And then there's a prayer too in here that you can pray to be released from those bloodline issues of negativity. But in your bloodline, there are some positive things as well. So I want you to continue to pray for us, continue to bless. We bless all of you as you continue to watch us and challenge with us and write us. You give me a call at 773-616-1951, 773-616-1951. Someone said, well, Brent, we want to send you a donation. Those who work with Zelle, you work with Zelle, that's my telephone number, 773-616-1951. Hope Outreach Ministries International. Those who Cash App, $ Tabernacle 7, the number 7. Tabernacle, the number 7. Sylvester Brinson III. Yeah, Tabernacle, the number 7. So between that, or just go to the website. Go to my website, theBrinsonInstitute.com, and go to the donation page and send it through PayPal. Anyway, God bless you. Thank you for praying for us. I celebrate our new church named after us in Uganda, Ghana, Africa, the Brinson Apostolic Tabernacle. Wow. Brinson Apostolic Tabernacle. Brinson Apostolic Tabernacle. To all of you members of the Brinson Apostolic Tabernacle in Uganda, Africa, to all of you, God bless you. To all of my brothers and sisters that we sit and the Apostolic Company Empowerment Network. To all of you that are part of the Apostolic Empowerment Network, in which I am your governor apostle, God bless you. I look to see you on the first Thursday. This coming first Thursday, we have our AT&T meeting, Apostolic Tie-In Time, Central Standard Time, the first Thursday, every first Thursday from 7 to 9, 7 to 8. Come on and be blessed, and let's hear each other, see each other, talk with each other, celebrate each other. Until next time, to God be the glory for the things he has done. So be thou blessed and anointed by his name in his power. And so it is.